Hey, what is going on, happy people? It's Brandon, and I am out here. It's like 6:30 a.m. I love this time. You get a little bit of coffee in you, and you can just vibe outside. There's birds singing, and there's like no human activity yet. It's my favorite time of day. There's something really cool about being alone in nature, but I think you already know that. Okay, so, right, I don't usually make videos like this, but I want to start because there's so many awesome things that I want to start talking about. Well, okay, actually, my uncle was over a couple days ago, and he was talking with my dad in a room that's adjacent to mine, and they're talking about a project that my dad is working on. It's a really cool website called Askaway, by the way. Yes, shameless plug for him here. If you're a hiring manager and you need people and you want to vet people very quickly, Askaway is a great way to do that because your candidates, like your job candidates, just send you a video interview. And oh, look, there's my shadow. Hi. It's basically a video interview process, and you get to see if the person's a good fit for your company. And if they're not, cool. Then you just saved yourself a lot of money and time because you don't have to do a real interview. Anyway, the website's built. It's like ready to go. And the difficulty he's having isn't just finding people to check it out. And my uncle was like, start from the place where you realize that right now is the best opportunity to do that. Companies are going to look to hire new people very soon. And there's a lot of people in the job market right now. Obviously, we have so many people on unemployment. That's not going to last forever. So companies need something in place so they can go through clients through job candidates very quickly. He goes, why are you not knocking down the door of everybody you know would be positively impacted by this service? And he took him to LinkedIn and looked up hiring managers, and he had him message them while he was there. And all of a sudden, I was listening from the other room and I'm going, oh my God, that's perfect. My uncle is a loan officer. He is making a killing right now refinancing people's mortgages. Why? Because of the low rates, inflation rates. Long story short, the Fed has lowered rates, so now if you refinanced your house, you could get a lower payment per month, which could save you money in the long run, which is incredibly important right now. If you think about it in terms of opportunity, there's so much opportunity out there, especially when it comes to saving you money or renegotiating the terms with which you pay your mortgage. And I thought, oh my God, that's brilliant. Because what if you could refinance your brain? What if you could refinance your psychology? Change the way you interact with the world. Renegotiate the terms with which you interact with the world around you. Now, that's it sounds difficult, but here's how you do that. You take what was, you optimize it, and you reap the benefits. That's what a refinance is. If you look at mortgages, it's just designed to get you to pay your mortgage with better terms to you. And hey, you can do that with your psychology. You can do that with your own brain. The parts of you that you don't like, you can renegotiate those. And honestly, right now is the best time to do that. Now, that sounds... Okay, I don't want to leave you with just that idea, because just that idea isn't enough. The truth is, you do this by understanding the quantitative systems in place that exist for reformatting your psychology. Now, there's lots of ways you can do this. There's religious ways, there are scientific ways. But in my experience, the one that's had the most change, the quickest, is spiritual. It's a spiritual refinance. Now, okay, let's talk about what that means, because when I say the word spiritual, it has its own connotation. It has connotations of either being religious, or it has connotations of being very not religious. You have people on one side of the camp that are entrenched in organized religion that believe that they have the sole definition of spirituality. But then you have other people in other camps who their philosophy is that spirituality cannot be limited in any way or to one thing. So, two totally different definitions, but they're trying to talk about the same things. Now, what I define as spirituality, or spiritual in this context, is the intangible parts of you that can't fit into psychological definitions. Think of people like an onion, or Shrek like an onion. At the core is spiritual. At like the absolute navel, the middle of who you are is spiritual. A layer outside of that is psychological, which means that in a way, your psychology depends a lot on the vibes it gets from your spirituality. And outside of that layer of psychology is where you have practical. It's where you have actions. So you have spiritual, you have psychological, and you have practical. We struggle trying to find where to begin the development process. A lot of people think that it's supposed to be done with action first. Some people think it's psychology, just change your psychology. And it typically tends to bounce between those two, just the practical and the psychological. And that's because, from what I've seen, we have done a terrible job at cultivating our spirituality. And I'll pause for a second to welcome Oakley. Hi, Oakley. He's a good boy. Look at his eyes. They're so cool. He has one brown one and one blue one. He's my neighbor's dog. He's like the neighborhood dog. It's really cool. And yeah, this is... Oh, no. He's peeing. Right. Okay, so the methods of change typically bounce between psychology and action. But we don't cultivate spirituality at all. A lot of where we are, especially if we live in the United States, is very anti-spiritual. That's not saying it's anti-religious. I'm saying that spiritual concepts are very much swept under the rug. And that's done for a number of reasons, in my opinion. But the greatest is that without a spiritual center, you're very easily manipulated. Because all somebody needs to do is say fancy words like this, actually, and manipulate your psychology into thinking what it is they want you to believe. If they can do that, they can convince you to buy things, they can convince you to love them, they can convince you to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And deep down, there's a part of you that knows that it's manipulative. That part of you that's deep down that knows that it's manipulative, that's spirituality. Okay, so to talk to the idea that we have spiritual, psychological, and practical, where do we begin? Begin with ditching the idea that one needs to be done first. That's where we begin. Because it's not that you start in one place and then things will like magically radiate out into the others. It's that as you do one, the others happen simultaneously. Think of 3 dominoes. Rather than like the dominoes just falling one after the other, when they fall this way, they also fall backwards. And it's like, it's this back and forth system where as one falls and triggers the other, that then goes backwards. So, they're all done at the same time. Okay, for instance, let's say you want to start with spirituality. Let's say you want to start with spirituality. What does that look like? It means that there's a psychological switch that values spirituality, and there's actions that you then immediately take to begin exploring beginning in spirituality. So all of these 3 things are happening at once, and that's kind of where that magical little switch is. It's not that one triggers the other. It's that when you choose to do one, you begin to go back and forth with those dominoes, and it just happens almost instinctively. There we go. Okay. Also, from what I've seen in mainstream churches, religion is no longer good at developing your spirituality. That's because spirituality is very much cultivated through habit. It's cultivated through ceremony. The human spirit responds to ceremony, and if you could take this word and lose the negative connotation, ritual. We repeat actions together, and that communal action fuels the spirit. Think of worship services or communion or prayer, like group prayer. Like, it's not an accident that churches have so many people, or why they have worship services with a lot of people, because the number of people in there, if you like, if they can all begin to radiate that same type of energy, it gets increased and it's felt by everybody. And that's why you have such moving experiences when you're in these spiritual places. It's not that it's fake. It's that everybody is feeling it, and so you are much more likely to experience it as well. Humans are communal organisms. We respond well in groups. Okay, that was kind of a tangent. So how do we actually uh, explore developing spirituality? Well, let me tell you how. Lead yourself energetically. I'm going to draw a quick comparison. The reason why religion doesn't work to develop your spirituality is because it tells you to go somewhere. It's like your car, and you have to get down the road. There's somewhere that you need to be. But some of us can feel like we are on the side of the road with a flat tire. And no matter how many times we're told, go down the road, it's like, you can't. Your tire's busted. So there's a system in place for developing your spirituality that's like fixing the tire, or like degunking the engine. Actually, yeah, degunking the engine is probably a better metaphor. So leading yourself energetically is degunking your engine. Everything around you is energy. It's energetic in nature, even like these little guys. Okay? Yes, this leaf is technically matter. But if you think about what matter is, and if you think about the atomic experiments, oh my gosh, the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project taught us something really cool about matter. And that is that if you break it down to its most basic component, which is an atom, and you split that atom, what explodes out of it is massive amounts of concentrated energy. The fundamental building blocks of matter is energy, which means that everything is energetic. And even though this offers some kind of material resistance, like I can't squish my fingers through this, it means that what we define as solid is really just energetic bonds that are holding this leaf together so strongly that my matter or my energy cannot penetrate it. This is like, I think it's, I don't want to say magnetic resistance, because that's a little out there. Obviously this leaf, well, actually, yeah, this leaf can be a little magnetic depending on, it's like trace amounts of magnetism. But the point is, there are energetic bonds in place that my fingers can't go through. That's what provides that resistance. But if you were to take a microscope and look right there, right where my fingers are touching the leaf, my atoms are not touching the leaf. There is energetic resistance that is keeping me from puncturing the leaf. Thank you. So, understanding that everything is that type of energy opens us up to experimenting with different ways of seeing energy. So, let's see. Now, just like the leaf, just like me, just like you, our thoughts and our ideas, and especially the beliefs we have about the world, also have energetic charges. Now, to understand what kind of energetic charges that your beliefs can have, you have to look at the two types of energy that exist in nature. There is an energy that is naturally constructive and an energy that is naturally destructive. And pretty much everything could be understood in terms of destructive energy and constructive energy. These types of energies are called anabolic and catabolic. Anabolic energy is constructive, and catabolic energy is destructive. So, how does this all tie in? To refinance yourself, your psychology, your spirituality, is to examine the thoughts, ideas, beliefs that you have and identify what is anabolic and what is catabolic, and change the catabolic to anabolic. You restructure your thoughts, you restructure your ideas. What was cannot be any longer. Guys, look, the world is changing. In my opinion, and I can really only speak for myself, I don't believe the world will ever go back to the way that it was pre-quarantine. I know some of us may want that, or some of us, some of us may expect that that's what's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. We have big organizations in place that are exploring a new type of power that they may not have had before. I'm going to make up a word here. The micro enforcements of new rules gives them a unique power, and they're learning what that power feels like. So, we have to navigate a world now where our governments, I'm just going to come out and say it, our governments are exploring new ways of exercising control. And that's not against them. That's what governments do. That's their whole point of existence. You can argue their corruption as much as you want. I have my own thoughts on that, and I encourage you to have your own thoughts on that as well. But the point is, that's what governments do. They explore power. Now, here's why that matters to you. That matters to you because you have to redefine who you are now that they're redefining who they are. You see, they're working under the assumption that you can't redefine yourself. They don't want you to redefine yourself because it's a variable that they have not calculated for. That's nothing against anybody. It's just what they're using in their calculations. So, knowing that they're refinancing themselves means that you should probably look into refinancing yourself as well. That's why I said what was cannot be any longer. The way you were is not going to work in the world that is changing. It's just not. So, explore what thoughts build you up. Explore what thoughts tear you down. And most importantly, investigate what feels like it cannot be changed, especially when it comes to you and your own belief systems. That right there, that's energy leadership. When you learn to lead yourself energetically and you explore the parts of you that are energetic, and you're not afraid to examine those dark places, or probably what's more accurate is you're not afraid to redefine the things that you know hold you back. That's energy leadership. Guys, it's a beautiful day today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will speak with you later.